Hey everyone, this is Christy, Castle and Compass Adventures. And if you are planning your first Disney cruise and feeling excited, but also a little overwhelmed, you are absolutely in the right place. Disney Cruise Line is one of the most magical vacations out there. But if you've never done one before, there are a lot of decisions to make. Which ship do you choose? How many nights do you need? What is actually included? What should you reserve in advance? And how do you make sure that this vacation feels smooth, special, and worth your investment? So in this video, I'm walking you through exactly how to plan your first Disney cruise step by step. And we're going to cover how to choose the right sailing, how to pick the right ship, how to think about your budget, how to choose the right stateroom, what to reserve early and what to pack, and the biggest mistakes that first-time cruisers make. So if you've been dreaming about a Disney cruise, but you're not quite sure where to start, we are going to get right into it. And before we get started, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me put out great content like this, and the likes mean more than you can imagine. So, okay, let's get right into it. So why Disney cruise planning feels a little different. One of the first things that I tell people is that a Disney cruise is not just a cruise with Disney characters on it. It's really its own experience. There is storytelling in the ship design, there's intentionality in the dining, there's entertainment that feels like a major part of the vacation, and there's a level of service that keeps people coming back again and again. Because of that, planning a Disney cruise feels a little different than planning other vacations. It's not just something to stress over. It just means that a few thoughtful decisions on the front end can make your entire trip feel easier once you're on board. You don't need to know everything. You just need to know what matters most for you and your family. And that's exactly what we are going to talk about today. Okay, so step one, start with the kind of experience that you want. So before you look at the price, before you get attached to a particular ship, before you go down a rabbit hole online, start here. What kind of vacation do you actually want? Do you want something short and easy? Do you want more time to relax and settle in? Or are you more excited about the ship, more excited about the ports? These questions will help you narrow things down much faster. For many first-time Disney cruisers, a 3 or 4 night sailing feels like the easiest place to start. It's approachable, gives you a taste of the experience, and it can be a great way to see whether Disney cruising is a good fit for you. But with that said, I do think many first-time cruisers are happier with at least 4 or 5 nights. A very short cruise can go by too quickly. You spend the first day getting oriented, the next day figuring things out, and then suddenly it's almost time to leave. So slightly longer sailing gives you room to breathe, and that matters for most people. And then there's the itinerary. If you want the easiest, most classic introduction to Disney cruising, the Bahamas is the perfect place to start. There's warm weather, a relaxed vacation feel, and often one of Disney's island destinations. So that is a wonderful first impression. And if you want something a little bit broader, there are other Caribbean itineraries that are also lovely options. If you're dreaming bigger, Alaska and Europe are incredible, but those do tend to feel more destination driven and less like a beginning simple cruise. So when I think about a first Disney cruise, I usually recommend something manageable, something very enjoyable and easy to get to. Okay, so step two, choose the ship that fits your style. Once you have a general sense of the itinerary and the cruise length, then it's time to think about the ship. This is where people often start to overthink. Because every Disney cruise ship looks beautiful, and honestly, every Disney ship has something special about it. But the ships do have their unique personalities. Some feel more classic and intimate, some feel larger, more energetic, some feel newer and more immersive in their design and theming. So instead of asking what is the best Disney ship, ask this instead. Which ship is the best fit for the kind of vacation that I want or my family wants? That question is much more useful And some travelers love the classic ships because they feel timeless and charming. Others want the variety and the energy of the larger ships. And some people are especially drawn to the newer ships because they want that fresh, highly themed wow factor experience right away. But there's no one right answer to this. The goal is not to find the perfect ship in some universal sense. The goal is to find the best fit for you. And I would not let the ship become the only factor. The itinerary matters, the cruise length matters, the departure port certainly matters, and the overall ease matters as well. So a beautiful vacation usually comes from the right combination of these choices. And step 3, understand the budget clearly. Now, let's talk about budget. Because this is one of the biggest questions people have, Disney Cruise Line is a premium vacation product. And I think it's always better to go into the planning process with a clear understanding of the full costs of this trip. Your cruise fare includes quite a bit. It includes your stateroom, main dining, casual dining options, entertainment, pools, youth clubs, and many onboard activities. And there's real value in that. And that's why you probably chose cruising to begin with. But your cruise fare is not the whole story. You also need to think about gratuities, transportation, the port adventures, hotel stays before and after the cruise if needed, adult dining, spa treatments if you like to go to the spa, the internet if you need to communicate with others off the ship, souvenirs, and most importantly, travel protection. But that does not mean you need to spend heavily on board. You absolutely can have a wonderful Disney cruise without saying yes to every single extra. But I do recommend thinking about your budget in layers. So first, what is your cruise investment? Second, what do you want available for comfort and enjoyment around the cruise? And that could mean excursions, it could mean nice pre-cruise hotel, it could mean one special adult dining reservation. And when you think about the budget in that way, your choices become much easier and much more intentional. And step 4, choose the right stateroom. Okay, so let's talk about staterooms here. This is another place where people can either feel very confident or very overwhelmed in these choices. So Disney offers several room categories. There are inside staterooms, which are usually the most budget friendly. And if you plan to spend most of your time out enjoying the ship and you simply want a comfortable place to sleep and recharge, an inside room can be a very smart choice. Ocean view rooms give you natural light, in which many people enjoy. A veranda gives you a private outdoor space, and for many travelers, that makes the room feel more special and more relaxing. Then, of course, there is concierge level staterooms, which offer a more elevated experience. For most first-time Disney cruisers, I recommend choosing the most comfortable category that fits naturally within your budget. Not the room that looks best online. The room that supports your vacation is the one that you want. And beyond category, location matters more than people realize. So midships can be more convenient, deck placement above certain decks, below certain decks, that matters. And what is above and below your room, like I said, it also matters. And these little details can make a big difference in how restful your room can feel. Step 5, what to do right after booking. Once your cruise is booked, this is when the planning mode really begins. First, make sure your reservation is linked properly. Then download the Disney Cruise Line Navigator app. The app becomes part of your rhythm both before the cruise and while you're on board. It also helps manage details. You can keep an eye on planning windows, and later, once you're on board, it becomes one of your most useful tools. Next, look at your calendar. When is the final payment due? When do booking windows open? When do your travel documents need to be ready? Then think about the trip around the cruise. How are you going to get there? Are you flying? Are you driving? Are you staying in a hotel the night before? Do you need transfers? And this part really matters because if you're flying, I strongly recommend arriving the day before if you can. This one decision can reduce a tremendous amount of stress. It gives you breathing room, it protects you from travel delays, and it lets embarkation day feel exciting instead of rushed. And step 6 here is understanding Disney's rotational dining. So let's talk about one of the cruise line's signature features, rotational dining. If you've never cruised with Disney before, this can sound a little confusing at first, but once you understand it, it's actually quite simple. Instead of eating in the same main dining room every night, you rotate through different themed restaurants during the cruise. What makes it especially nice is that your serving team rotates with you. So you get a variety of venues, but you still have the consistency of the same dining team, getting to know your preferences, maybe even what your kids like to eat. And it's one of the details that makes Disney cruising feel especially polished. You'll also want to think about dining time. Do you want to dine early? Do you want to dine late? This is often a good fit for families with younger children or anyone who prefers an early evening rhythm. Late dining, that can be a better fit if you prefer a slower pace and you don't mind eating later. And it also, you want to make sure that you want to see the show. So it's often offset. So early dining, late show, late dining, early show. But there's no universal right answer. The right answer is the one that fits how you actually travel and what is going to work for your family. If adult dining is something you want, that's another reason to pay attention to the planning windows early. Step 7, you want to reserve what matters most. So this is the point where many first-time cruisers start feeling pressure to reserve everything. And this is where I want to gently say you don't have to do that. There are certainly things worth booking ahead of time if they matter to you. And that could be port adventures, it could be adult dining, maybe spa appointments and beverage tastings, or select onboard experiences. But you don't have to reserve everything. Reserving everything is one of the fastest ways to make your cruise feel stressful and to overschedule it. So I like to think about reservations in 3 buckets. What is truly important to you? What would be nice if it works out? And what can wait for another sailing? And that framework makes things so much easier. And for many first-time Disney cruisers, the ship itself is the destination. The dining, the entertainment, the atmosphere, the little moments on board, those are most often the things people remember the most. So yeah, go ahead, plan ahead, but also leave room for spontaneity and balance. Step 8 is prepare for embarkation day, which is probably the most exciting day. It is also one of the easiest days to make feel harder than it needs to be. And the goal is simple: make that first day easy on yourself. Keep your travel documents easy to reach. Keep medication, valuables, swimsuits, chargers, and first day essentials in your carry-on. And don't put everything important in your check luggage. That is one of the biggest practical mistakes people make. I also recommend having realistic expectations for embarkation day. You're not going to be able to do everything in those first few hours, and you certainly don't need to. So just board the ship, enjoy lunch. You can do a sit down, you can do the buffet, explore a little. If you bring your swimsuit with you, you can try one of the slides, get your bearings, settle in, visit the kids club if your kids want to participate. Usually the first day is the day that you can check it out, and there are typically open houses. And honestly, the first afternoon on board is one of the most special parts of the whole trip. Everything feels new, the excitement is high, and the vacation is just beginning. Step 9, packing. So pack for ease. So packing for a Disney cruise does not need to be complicated. You want to bring the basics, of course: your travel documents, your medication, your pool clothes, dinner outfits, comfortable shoes. But beyond that, I really encourage people to pack for ease. Pack for the vacation you're actually taking. So if you love dressing for theme nights, wonderful, bring that. If you know you're happiest in simple resort wear and easy dinner outfits, pack that instead. The best packed suitcase is the one that supports how you really want to travel. A few practical items can help though. So an organized carry-on with portable chargers, a day bag, and anything that helps your stateroom stay tidy if that matters most to you. The goal is not perfection here. The goal is ease. Step 10, avoid the biggest first-time mistakes. Before we wrap up, I want to talk about biggest mistakes I see first-time Disney cruisers make. The first is choosing based only on price. So a lower fare is not always the best choice if it comes with harder travel, less ideal rooms, or a cruise that doesn't actually fit your style. The second is underestimating the logistics around the cruise. Flights, hotels, port transportation, and timing, all of that matters. The third is trying to do too much. A Disney cruise should feel joyful, not over-engineered. The fourth is not understanding the full budget. And the fifth is not thinking enough about rhythm. So dining time, room location, excursion intensity, travel day timing, those details shape how restful or rushed the vacation feels. And the final mistake is thinking you have to get everything right the first time. So you don't. You really don't have to. A Disney cruise is not something you have to perfect in order to enjoy. Sometimes the magic is just simply stepping on board and letting yourself experience it. My recommendation for a first Disney cruise, if someone came to me and said, I want a first Disney cruise that feels easy, special, and worth it, this is what I generally recommend. I would start with a 4 or 5 night sailing. I would choose a departure port that is convenient. I would look for an itinerary that balances the ship time with at least one really enjoyable stop. I would choose a room category that feels comfortable but not financially stressful. I would arrive the day before if flights are involved. I would reserve a few meaningful things in advance, but not so much that the trip loses its sense of ease. And most importantly, I would focus on the overall experience, not just the checklist. Because the beauty of a Disney cruise is not doing every single thing. It's in the feeling of it, the service, the atmosphere, the music, the dining, the entertainment, those little moments, and the memories you bring home with you. That is what really makes it special. So in closing here, planning your first Disney cruise can feel like a lot at the beginning, but once you understand the key decisions, it becomes so much more manageable. And honestly, it becomes more exciting too. Because instead of feeling overwhelmed, you can start picturing that vacation clearly. You can start imagining how you want it to feel, and that's when the planning becomes really the fun part. So if you're planning your first Disney cruise, I would love to know what you're considering, what ship is on your list, what itinerary are you looking at? Let me know in the comments. And if this video has helped you feel more confident, please like, subscribe, share it with someone else who's dreaming about a Disney cruise. And thank you so much for being here, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.